Hi, Bashar.
And you, good day.
I have 3 questions.
1, 2, 3.
Great. So I'm currently exploring a series of books called the Ringing Cedar Series.
All right.
They are written about a Russian woman named Anastasia.
Yes.
Are you familiar with her? Or this?
Just proceed.
So they present some interesting concepts.
Such as?
The idea that living in nature and gardening is would bring us closer to our highest destiny, our highest calling.
In many ways, this is so, because it reconnects you to your natural self, and your natural self is of an extremely high frequency.
Yes. So one of the questions that I want to ask you, in the book, in the first book, she talks about sex, and you discussed it a little bit last night, so
yes.
I wanted to just ask some more questions about it.
All right.
The concept that she's explaining is that it's, as humans, we should only use sex to procreate.
Why?
Because any other use of it is extraneous. I don't know. I
Extraneous. Why?
I guess you'd have to ask her. So last night when you were talking about sex, you talked about it bringing us closer to our highest.
The only thing that makes it extraneous is when there is not clear communication of all parties in a relationship and clear consent to participate in like vibration. If that is not what's happening in a relationship that involves sex, then in that sense it's extraneous. But it is not extraneous unto itself.
Yes.
It can be used in many ways beneficially for the alignment and raising of vibrations and bondings and connections that are extremely spiritual in nature.
Okay.
But it depends on how it's used and with what intention. If there is subterfuge, if there is clarity, if there is hidden secrets, if there is lack of communication, if there is intent to trick, if there is intent to dominate, if there is intent to control, that is extraneous sex. If it is all by consensus, if it is a play, if it is enjoyable, if it is by agreement, if it builds on each other and helps support each other and allows each other, or how many ever in the relationship, to discover more and more of who they are and supports that goal, it is being used in an appropriate manner positively in that way.
Okay, great.
At least that's our view.
It's a good view. So I had an experience during an ayahuasca ceremony.
Yes.
Where I went into a state that I can only explain as a sexual orgasm.
Yes.
But it was my entire body, every
Yes.
cell,
Yes.
and it was so explosive. And as I was laying there feeling this pleasure, it became very clear to me that that was my natural state.
Yes.
And that I actually could exist in that state all the time.
Yes, you could choose to. Now, do not, any of you, berate yourself if you don't. Because remember, sometimes in physical reality, what you will create is a cyclic experience. You will create a certain state, and then it may seem as if you are falling out of that state, but that's not always for a negative reason. Remember that many times when you achieve a high level of vibration, you download a lot of information into yourself at that level. The idea then is to bring that information and ground it back to earth, and sometimes that actually requires you to lower your vibration to do so that it can sink in and crystallize on a different level. At the same time, recognize that what's happening is not this. What's happening is this. You are always actually climbing up, especially when you don't judge the down part of the cycle, because you're actually always landing higher than you were before, even though it may seem like you're going down. You're actually creating a rising arc. You understand?